How did I not feel these things? Really took me on this own journey of really feeling all of the emotions I had never felt in my entire life. All the times when you were a kid and you wanted to cry and you held it back. And it was like the opening up the teapot and all of a sudden all the steam that was under the surface can come out. And 1.5 years of deep shadow work, deep introspection, any healing modality you can name, traveling around the world. I left to Egypt. Him and I were meant to go to Egypt 4 days after he told me this, because I felt called to go to Egypt to heal my relationship with the divine masculine. My dad from Iran was going to come, and my brother. He tells me this. It's 4 days before the flight. I decide to just go to Egypt. My friend comes with me, and that's where I just died. And I was meant to go to Egypt and meant to just die and have 1,000 funerals for my former self, 1,000 funerals for my identity as a wife and as what I believed was going to be a mother, and all of these roles that I had been in that would no longer be, and just really let myself unravel. And all of these different archetypes throughout the next 1.5 years awakened within me. The wild woman, the Kalima, all of these aspects. Saraswati, I started writing poetry and producing music, eventually made an album, meeting all of these expressions I would have never met before. Took me over 1 year to finally be able to forgive him, in an authentic way, which actually happened the day of the eclipse through synchronistic story, which we could go into. But 2 weeks ago, when I was on the medicine, the last ceremony in the Sacred Valley, hiking by myself, I saw myself as my highest self looking down, and the words, "The ceremony is complete," came into my consciousness. And I realized when I was 24 years old and I decided I was going to sit with San Pedro, that's when my ceremony began 10 years ago. And that ceremony brought me straight into the illusions that nothing but going right into them would have allowed me to awaken out of them, into the illusion that marriage is eternal safety. That, okay, well, ticked the box of what I was supposed to do. And, moving on, someone could have told me these things, but I needed to experience it. So I could see now how, when you say you're going to work with the medicine, you really start working with its consciousness, and brought me into falling in love with this person and living this life for 7.5 years with this person until he sat with that medicine and his shadows came to surface, which triggered me into the dark night of the soul and brought me to the medicine and into the full circle of realizing what the ceremony was about, which was ultimately that we are meant to sometimes trigger dark nights of the soul in people. And it actually is one of the bravest acts a soul can do, is to be the villain in someone else's story.
So true. Whoa.
What a gift for him to be the villain in my story, because that is the greatest act of love. Nothing could have awakened me into this version of me right now that is speaking with you without him saying, before incarnation, I'm going to love you more than you've ever experienced. I'm going to hurt you more than you've ever experienced. And I really don't want to do it, but I know it's what your soul needs and what his soul needed to become the next iteration of us that only this could have caused. And after seeing it from that perspective, I just felt nothing but so much love and gratitude for the ways that each of our roles create these ripple effects in one another, and how divinely timed it is. Like inside of a train conductor, is showing me like the hologram of reality, and how a train is like the wheel is connected to this piece, connected to that piece. And it's like, I triggered dark night of the soul in someone else, that triggers it in someone else, that triggered it in someone else. And it's all perfect and it's all divine, should we choose it. And so here I am now, and it brought me, we rescheduled it because I needed to be right here in this moment.
It's the paying it forward of the soul evolution process. And not in the way that people would think, oh, pay it forward and give good vibes to everybody. No, it's like, be authentic. And that's how you pay it forward the most. Okay, so let's back up for a moment. First of all, I want to have just some reverence for you and your journey, and for what you experienced and what you just articulated to us about having this experience with your higher self and telling you that the ceremony is complete. That's so powerful. How did you feel?
How perfect the timing of it all is. How we can't rush the process, and everything in life has seasons and chapters. And when we're in that season, we think that season's going to go on forever. When your heart's broken, you're feeling it, you're like this is just life now. And then you have a season where you start to create and you have the next, and you got to allow the leaves to blossom and to fall in their timing. And it's all orchestrated, because the moment I get to that point of having that realization is when other areas of my life have also been blossoming to be at the right fruition for me to step into them. So sometimes we beat ourselves up around, why can't I just heal sooner? Why aren't I over it? Why isn't this happening? And to understand that everything has its time. Everything has its process, and the process is so essential, and you can't skip the process. I couldn't have gone here and been like, oh, you cheated on me. It's all good. It's all divine, love and light. It could not have worked. I needed to go into the underworld. I needed to feel all of the anger, hurt, sadness, shame, disgust, all of the things that I never got to feel, that my ancestors never got to feel. And I'm transmuting and feeling it through them to be at this point that I can truly be in right relationship without bypassing. And I feel a lot of times we try to just like forgive, and it's not coming from a genuine place. And you have to be honest about what is present for you, but also continue to see it with many different eyes. And, something like a divorce, a big heartbreak, it's when something hurts, you got to let it go many, many, many times.